I am Dr. Amos Kabo-Bah. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Ghana. And currently, I co-chair the capacity building working group for GEO LDN. I am very passionate about this initiative because I feel that this initiative is a very important one, especially critical for developing countries, especially African continent. For example, the African Agenda 2063 can only be achieved if we can understand the impacts of population growth, industrialization, urbanization on our land resources. And that is why this LDN seeks to see how we can monitor the impacts of the activities on our land. The LDN, I see that is going to play a very critical role, especially for countries, if I consider Africa, for example. The issue is that land ownership or land management in Africa differs from country to country. If I take the case of Ghana, there are individuals that own land, and land may be owned by chiefs, and they decide what they do on the land. So I see, for example, that the LDN will help governments to further renegotiate land management and land ownership issues with the traditional owners, because that will help the government to have a better dialogue to say, okay, you have your piece of land, but looking at the future developmental issues for our country, we need to reconsider the way we use our lands. So this, I think, would be very critical, and that is what the LDN hopes to achieve at the end of the day. The LDN is an initiative that has been established looking at the various experiences from the UNCCD, that they realize that now, for us to be able to manage our land, it is important we consider the use of space data, let me call it Earth observation data, because this is one of the things that has been lacking in the past. And I could give an example. Now in Ghana, for example, we are facing the challenges of illegal mining that is destroying a lot of our forest lands. And it's very difficult for you to track that by sending human beings to those areas to track whatever is happening. So if you want to really track, you have to use satellite data in order to do that. So I think this is one of the reasons why the UNCCD had to contact GEO together for them to establish the GEO LDN, that by this vehicle, we could further know how fast or how best we could manage our lands, because traditional methods cannot work these days. The GEO LDN Working Group 1 target is, which is, I think, first of all, is the most difficult of all the other working groups, is to build capacity. And capacity cannot be built in 1 day, in 2 days, in a year. It takes a lot of effort. So that is why with our working group, we are looking at how do we ensure at the national level, people have understanding about how they can monitor the Sustainable Development Goal 15.3.1. In order to do that, it means that the tools, the standards that are emerging must be understood from the national point of view. From the national point of view, we can go to a district level to also understand the policymakers and one who are at that level, how do they understand the LDN and how can they be able to monitor that. Then we can even go to a very small scale, whereby we are looking at a small community that are also interested to ensure that their parcels of land are also managed well. So if you look at it, we are looking at within a country, you have a national focus, you have a district level, and you have a community level. So the capacity working group is looking at how do we develop mechanisms for training at the national level and at the district level and at the local scale, if I put it that way. So in order for us to do that, it means that we first have to come out with training models that will be able to target each of these three players that we are looking at. The capacity building that I'm talking about here is for several users, and we can group these users into people who are directly involved with decision making. And when I say decision making, it means decision making at the international level, like users that are reporting directly to the UNCCD. But we are also looking at users that are reporting to the government in the various countries. And this could be more like district managers and whatnot. But we also have the community-based one. This could be community-based organizations and what have you that are also trying to solve issues of land management. But in broad, at the end of the day, what we are looking at is that at all these levels, we may have, for example, students who are either trying to take programs or courses that are related to the LDN. It could be at a bachelor level, it could be at a master's level, it could even be at a PhD level. So we are looking at all these phases to ensure that the whole spectrum of people that must be reached, that must pass on the knowledge, is reached at the end of the day. I see the future of LDN to be successful when young people can begin to understand the value of the lands they hold or they have access to, and they can better manage it. And at the same time, governments can, a click of a button, understand the changes on their land and how best they can use that. And the last point is that when developing countries, especially, governments are beginning to put money on the table for furthering the efforts of the LDN.